Thank you.
Thank you, handsome. Hi, everybody. My name is Olis, and I'm a grateful member of Alcoholics Anonymous. I want to begin by really thanking the Al-Anon panel and just Al-Anon participation. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Marianne. And thank you, Nancy. That was really a beautiful panel. Hold on. All right. So, I'm Olis. I'm a drunk. My sobriety date's May 21st, 1984. I am an active member of Alcoholics Anonymous. I have a sponsor. Her name is Nancy. She knows that she sponsors me. I sponsor men. I sponsor women. And I mostly answer the phone. I set it up so that we have a schedule, and I devote time for each person that I'm walking to freedom in my calendar, and we open the book, we read the book, we apply the things in the book to what's going on in real time in their life, and I have found that to be the most useful way to help people to freedom. So my assignment this morning is to talk about step 4 and 5. It is a tremendous amount of information to cover. I'm going to be kind of technical. Judge me. Put me in column 1. I'm really okay with that. But I think that my job is to give you information that can help save your life, to give you information that can lead you to joy and freedom, to give you information that's life-changing. I think that that's my assignment. So I'm going to get with that. I kind of feel naked without my phone to be looking at the time. It's a little odd, but okay, there it is. So I want to go back to what the theme this year is, right? A new freedom and a new happiness. And the freedom and the happiness is available if we do the work. And I want to just remind us that the things that I'm going to be talking about today, right? How to do this personal housekeeping, how to do this inventory, how to actually share it with someone. And let me just contextualize in summary what I think this work is. Based on the book of Alcoholics Anonymous, right? I think about this program and I speak about this program in the context of the book of Alcoholics Anonymous. I have a first step problem that has 3 parts. I drink and I get thirsty. That's what it is. But if I don't drink, I'm not thirsty. The second part of my first step problem is I have a voice in my head and it sounds like me, and she's a liar. She's a liar. And she's going to tell me things that are not true. Why? Because I have a third part of my first step problem, which is I have a spiritual illness, this delusion that I'm disconnected from the power, this delusion that I'm unlovable, that I'm not good enough, that I'm unworthy. And it's a spiritual sickness, it's a spiritual malady, and if I don't treat it, I will kill myself. How about that? I will kill myself. I will kill myself. And so what do? I have to follow the spiritual path that's laid out for me. And my brother Anthony did a lovely job last night really talking about what it looks like with skin on and two, right? His talk about, like, I have a praying grandmama. Like, she was my connection to God. So if you don't have a power that you believe in, let me tell you, the second step says you only need to be willing. There's only one question in step 2. Do I now believe, or am I even willing to believe? That's all you got, right? If you don't believe, just be willing. Find somebody that believes, like he talked about his grandmother. Believe because they believe. But then 3, which I love, really talks about what the problem is. And here's the truth. If I could do the 3rd step prayer, God, I offer myself to thee to build with me and do with me as thou wilt, relieve me of the bondage of self, take away my difficulties, the victory over them would bear witness to those I would help to thy power, thou love thy way of life, may I do thy will. If I could do that in 3, it'd be a 3-step program. That's what it would be. But what am I doing in 3? 3 opens a prayer that I'm in until I get to 7. Why am I telling you that? Because the way the book of Alcoholics Anonymous is structured is 3 and 4 together in how it works. 5 5 is in the next chapter into action. So I got to really understand that the problem is me. Now, this is really sad news when I get here, because I really think the problem is you. No, I really swear to God. My mother abandoned me. I was molested. It was if you start drinking scotch in the 3rd grade, like, things are not good at home, right? So I have all this evidence, right, that it's you. But what does the book tell me? No, baby. No, baby. The problem is you. It's how you respond to the world around you. What do you want to be? The actor, control it, right? And until I understand that, I'm not going to do 4 and 5. Not really. I'm a BS you. I am. I'm going to write an inventory to somebody else's. It's fictional. It's a screenplay, right? I should go to Hollywood. And I'm not going to answer the question, honestly, are you keeping secrets? Okay, because you know what I mean? I don't understand the dire situation that I'm in. But when we say life and death, let me just say this. I promise I'm going to move on. I feel so naked without my phone. My phone is back there. The clock. Thank you. Look at that. Thank you. God love you. She's like, the clock is there. It's red. It's neon. It's right in front of you, sweetie. Self-sufficiency. Thank you. I'm going to say some things. I want you to just forgive me, cover me in grace. People jump in and out of the back of cars. People get on their knees in gas stations. People sell everything. They surrender their dignity. And so when we say it's life and death, you can die physically, you can die spiritually. And you can play if you want to. But the thing that the place I'm going to be talking from is a place where what I'm trying to do is call you back from the edge. You might not know you're standing at the edge, but particularly if you've been here and you've been in and out, in and out, in and out, and you're under the delusion that you can keep coming back, don't play with your life. I mean, you can if you want to, but I don't think it's a good idea. So I'm about to give you a technical approach, forgive me, to 4 and 5. Now, you do it the way your sponsor does it. There's no, I'm not God. 36 years does not make me an expert on anything. I could barely manage my own life. I don't know where my phone is at. But what I'm going to give you is my understanding of 4 and 5 out of the book of Alcoholics Anonymous. Literally the way that I understand the words on the page. Y'all ready? All right, now let's go. So, the 4th step has 3 inventories. We always talk about resentment, but there are 3 inventories in the 4th step. Inventory number 1 is resentment. Now, I think resentment is hilarious because the people come in and they're whining and complaining and they don't want to do the inventory. The truth is that you can call anybody that you know and they can do the first 2 columns of the resentment inventory for you. Because all you can talk about is who did what to you. Right? So the first column of the columns in the resentment inventory is who. Who I'm resentful at. Who I'm all burnt up at. What is a resentment? It's a re-feeling of something. It's a re-experiencing a sentiment. So if it happened this morning and you're thinking about it at lunch, it's a resentment. If it happened in the 3rd grade and you're still thinking about it, it's a resentment. Don't confuse a resentment for being annoyed. I'm annoyed, I'm annoyed, but I don't think about it again. So then it's not a resentment. So the first column is who, easy enough. The second column is why, the cause. And then the 3rd column, don't get mad at me. When I got here, it was a checklist. You just check the box. It affected the 7 parts of self. Count with me, the 7 parts of self. It's in the book. The 7 parts of self. Let's start with the thing that's most important. The self-esteem. The role I assign myself, I'm a good person. What is the next one? My pride, the role I assign you. Here's how I think you should treat me. Because I decided. What is the next one? My ambition, how I want things to happen. You know the picture in your head, the movie in your head of how you think I'm going to call and then you're going to say, right, that's your ambition. My security, in order to fit, I decide, this is how crazy this is. I decide in order for me to be okay, here's what you need to do. How am I going to ever be okay in the world like that, right? Security. The next one is my personal relationship with you, right? So what dynamic am I in? I'm the mother, I'm the aunt, I'm the worker, I'm the employee, I'm the sponsor, what am I? What is our relationship? What is the next one? Sex. Now, let's be clear, gender. It's talking about gender. A real man. Because what do I have in my mind? What a real man should be. What do I have in my mind? What a real woman should be. And then what is the last one? Pocketbook. Now, people are always like, oh, I don't have a pocketbook. You a lie. Here are the 3 ways that you're going to have a pocketbook. I promise you have a pocketbook. 1, you lost money you had. You lost something of value you had. Number 2, you're absolutely certain you would have gotten something and you didn't get it because of this. Number 3, the one that gets me every time. You went out and spent money you wouldn't otherwise have spent. Did you see my outfit? Let's look around. Right here. I'm always going to buy something. I'm always going to buy something. Right? Because I think I'll be good enough if. So don't pretend. Some of us buy cars, we take trips, we buy other people. I was drunk doing it. Oh, around for everybody, right? But pocketbook. So those are the 7 parts of self. Here's the instruction in the book. That you write, this is the way I do it. This is the way I do it. I write a full sentence for each part of self. And when I finish writing that sentence, self-esteem, let's use a resentment. My husband, Chet, is in column 1. The cause, he cheated on me with the floozy at work, column 2. Then I get to 3, my self-esteem. I'm a good wife. No one should cheat on me. Self-esteem. No one should treat me like that. My husband should be loyal, right? That's how it goes. But after every sentence, what I write is the fear. The book says bracketed alongside is the fear. Why is this important? Because the truth is, although I don't know it, which is why I love the inventory process, is that the reason I'm affected by what you did the vast majority of the time is that I have an underlying fear. Here's an example. If you walk up to me and you tell me that I'm fat, I'm going to I need better Spanx. I shouldn't have had the potatoes at breakfast. I need, you know what I mean? Like, come on, girl, get it together. I have a fear. If you walk up to me and you tell me that I'm stupid, I am unaffected by that. I'm just unaffected because I don't have a fear about that. So when I'm affected by something, chances are really good I have some underlying fear. Here's the thing I'm known to say. It doesn't matter why I'm disturbed. It matters why I'm disturbable. Because following that leads me to freedom. So I'm in column 3. I've done the 7 parts of self, and after every part of self I look at, self-esteem, pride, ambition, security, personal relations, sex relations, pocketbook, I write the underlying fear. It's the way I do it. It's called an extended third column. This is the way I do it. You ain't got to do it that way. This is the way I do it. I like it that way. And then what do I get to? Well, now I'm on the top of page 67 in the book of Alcoholics Anonymous. And what is on the top of page 67 in the book of Alcoholics Anonymous? The sick man prayer. Yes, it is, right? Now, here's the trick about the sick man prayer. The sick man prayer is not for the sick man. The sick man prayer is for me. Because it says, God, save me from being angry. You know what else it says before it says that? It says that the other person like me, is sick. So really, this is a realization. It's a pivot. And what am I pivoting to? I'm pivoting to the consideration that maybe like that person, I've done the thing that they've done. And so I ask myself, have I done the thing in column 2, cheated, on the person in column 1, my husband? Well, the answer to that is no. But then the question is, or anyone else? Well, yeah, I've cheated on someone else. And so the thing that is for me a problem is that I have a high horse. I climb up on her. I put the fan on, it's the whole thing. And that is a dangerous place to be. But this pivot in the sick man prayer on 67 helps me see the truth, which is why I do inventory. The reason that I do inventory is to get to joy and freedom. But the thing that's blocking me from joy and freedom is me. It's the way that I live my life. It's the way that I respond to the world around me. It's the way that I judge you. It's the way that I'm self-righteous. It's the way that I'm mean-spirited. It's not even always my external world. Because I can smile in your face and pretend, right? That's why it's not a self-help program. What matters is my internal life. How am I really feeling inside? And the truth is, I don't know. My life is driven by 100 forms of fear. And so I have to write it down. And what does writing it down do? It helps me see, this is important, the pattern of pain that I create in my own life. That's what it does. And I can't see it. And I have to do inventory to get free. And so I'm in the first of the 3 inventories. And now I'm at the final column 4. And in column 4, I think of it as steps down into the deeper part of myself. The first question in column 4 is, what's my outward behavior? Anybody can see that. I'm rude, I'm snippy, you know what I mean? I'm just funky. It's funky. It vibrates off of me, right? That's my outward behavior. I call someone, I talk bad about you. You know what I mean? Like, what is the thing, the behavior, the outward thing I did in relationship to this resentment? Not in relationship to this person, in relationship to this person. Column 4 goes to column 2. Next question. What's the attitude that I had that justified that behavior? Because I have to justify my behavior so I can continue to be a good person, right? And what is that attitude? Here's where it gets hard. You ready? This is where I think it gets difficult for people. And the reason this part's difficult is because I don't yet know at the beginning of this process how to see the truth. I'm asking myself to tell myself the truth about something when I've been lying to myself. That's my whole life. So what's this next question in the 4th column? What's the lie that I'm telling myself that justifies the attitude that led to the behavior? See, they're all connected. And then I get the money shot. You ready for the 4th question? What am I afraid of? See, because fear, this is one of the ones that I love, and I do it all the time. You do it too, but I don't know you like that, so. Let's see if you relate to this. I'm afraid that I'm not good enough. And so then I reject you to avoid you not wanting me, which means that I behaved in a way that prevented me from getting the thing that I wanted, which was love and connection. I did it. Yeah, inventory helps me see that pattern in my life. Here's the other thing that inventory helps me do. It turns out that I'm the same person everywhere. What? Yes. The way that I act in the business meeting is the way that I act at work, is the way that I act with family dinner. I'm who I am. And what I'm looking to do, because it tells me, any business that doesn't take inventory is probably going to fail, right? I'm not going to have joy and freedom. I'm not going to achieve the promises of standing in the sunlight of the Spirit with all of the things that I have created that block me from the light. I block me from the light. I don't even know I'm doing it. Maybe at some point those things were useful. You know, Anthony talked about them as survival skills. Well, they're not working for me no more. And I've got to be willing to take an honest look at myself. So that is the first of the 3 inventories. Now, let me point out that in the 3rd column, you identified a fear for all 7 parts of self. And let's just say, for instance, you had, I don't know, this is not a real number. I just am having a hard time counting this moment. Let's say that you had 100 resentments, right? Which means you're going to have 700 fears, just from column 3. But where else did you identify a fear? You identified a fear in column 4. So every resentment has 8 fears. Now, they're not unduplicated, thank God, right? They're right. So you take in the fear inventory the way that I do it. I take all of them, and anything that's a duplicate, I don't write that down because don't nobody need a duplicate, right? But I write down all the unique fears. And I'm not talking spiders and tall buildings, right? Fears. A fear that I'm going to die alone, a fear that I'm going to be poor, a fear that nobody's going to love me, a fear that I'm going to get sick, a fear I'm going to lose my job, a fear you're going to find out whatever it is, right? And I write those down. And for each fear, I ask myself, what is underneath that fear? Why do I have that fear? Why do I have that fear? Here's an example because I need to move on. I'm afraid of losing my job. Why? Well, because I'm afraid of being broke. Why? Because I'm afraid of not being able to support myself. Why? Because I'm afraid that people will think I'm a failure. Why? Why do I care? Because then I'm afraid that people are going to be like, oh, that's right, you're not good enough. Why am I afraid of that? Because then I'm afraid that people will be right not to love me. But where did I start? I started with my job. But when I really ask myself what's under that, I'm going to get to what I think of as a core fear. And that's the thing that every part of my life is showing up over and like a bad movie, over and over and over again. Are we good? Can I move? Okay. So now it's sex. Now, here's the thing I love about Bill Wilson, and it teaches me this. I don't need to be perfect to be useful. Bill wrote about sex because Bill needed to write about sex, right? And I don't need to be perfect to be useful. And the book says, look, some people is got no salt and pepper, and some people is on a straight pepper diet. You know who you are, right? There are some people pretending to be on pepper who don't have pepper, but whatever. Whatever. I really think of this inventory as how do I relate to the people around me? And how do I use my God-given gifts to have power over other people, to misuse other people? I want to move quickly over this one. Not that it's not important, but like I got other stuff to talk about because look, I can see the clock. I have God-given powers. Sex is certainly one of them. Sex is powerful. There's entire industries, plural, built on them, right? And so how do I use it? How do I use it? How do I use it? There are other powers that I have. How do I use it? Chicks. You know you're not really interested in the guy, but you need a bill paid, you need something fixed. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. Guys, you're not really interested. She got them little crumb snatchers, but you're going to pretend because you know. Right? The way we use each other. And then there are these 9 questions there. Was I inconsiderate? Was I selfish? Right? And then it asks the most important question. What should I have done instead? Now here's the thing. I can never say, well, I shouldn't have gotten that relationship, right? I mean, I want to wipe all those people out. Like, well, I shouldn't have done that. Like, let's pretend that didn't happen. I'm not going to grow like that. I should have been honest. I should have been clear about what my needs were. I should have not cheated. I should have waited until I ended it to get into it, right? What should I have done instead? And then magically that becomes my ideal. Because what the inventory leaves me with is an ideal about how I want to have my relationships moving forward. And my ideal is the stuff I should have done instead. My aspirational self. And if I don't have an aspiration, I can't move towards it. And so I start in who's mad at me. And it's an old spiritual trick. Bill didn't come up with this. That if I look at why I'm mad and who I'm mad at, it will lead me to a deeper truth about myself. And I do that in resentment. But it leaves me with this gift of fear. And then I look at the fears and I pick them up, I turn them over. I really am with them. And I ask why. And I get to the core things that run my life. My core fear is it's impossible for someone to love me. Do I know that's a lie? Yes. So it's no longer running the show. Is she in the trunk, banging, screaming? Yeah, she's still in the car. But I'm not expected to get to perfection. I'm just expected to progress. And progress is that I'm not living my life with her running the show. That's spiritual progress. And then I look at the way that I've taken the powers that God has given me and I've misused it. I've taken advantage of people. I've manipulated them. I've just tried to feel better than them. Why? Because I don't feel good about me. And the inventory process helps me see much more of myself than I've ever seen. And that's true no matter how many times I do it. When I got here in 1987, they used to talk about, I don't know if people talk about this anymore, like the layers of the onion. Do people still talk about that? Right? And it's true that if I just keep peeling it away, there's this deeper and deeper and deeper thing that I get to. But no matter how much I write, no matter how much I pray, no matter how much every time I sit down to write the inventory, I open it with a prayer. God, please help me see the truth. Please help me set aside everything I think I know about me. That's what it says in the set-aside prayer. I can't fully see myself. And so the chapter into action, which covers steps 5 through 11, opens and it talks about why I do it. Let's see if I could switch to that. On page 72, it says, having made our personal inventory, what shall we do about it? Well, I'd like to burn it, sir. And then it says, we've been trying to get a new attitude. What is the attitude I came to Alcoholics Anonymous with? Woe is me. Woe is me. I will tell you a story about my life that would make grown men just sob. I mean, it really, honestly, is tragic. Again, no third graders drinking scotch on a good day, right? It was tragic. But the problem isn't what happened, although that was problematic. The problem is the attitude that I have about it. That's the problem. Because when I stand in the relationship with the things that happened in my life like I'm the victim, guess what I am? A victim. Have I been victimized? Absolutely. Am I a victim? Absolutely. No. I rebuke you. No. That's not who I am. Those things made me strong and resilient, compassionate, resourceful. You can't plow me over with a truck. I paid for that. And so since I paid anyhow, I might as well get the benefit. So it says at the beginning of the chapter, we're going to get a new attitude. And then it says something more powerful. A new relationship with our Creator. How do I get to it? Well, I have to discover the obstacles in my path. What obstacles? Aren't the obstacles the people and what they did to me? No, baby. The obstacle is how I move in the world. It's how I react to the things that happen. We admitted certain defects. We have ascertained in a rough way, that's rough is important, a rough way what the problem is. We've put our finger on the weak items in our personal inventory. Now, it's time to cast them out. Isn't cast out beautiful? I've been carrying a wound. I've been carrying a pain. I've been carrying a hurt. I've been carrying a lie. And I get to cast it out. How about that? I don't know what you thought you was in, but this is Alcoholics Anonymous. Cast it out. And how do I do it? You know, it gives me some instruction. It spends a fair amount of time talking about find a safe person. Why? Because you can't tell everybody your business. Absolutely not. If you think this is Wellness Anonymous, you are in the wrong place. It's not. It's not. And so I have to be careful who I trust, because what I don't want to do is re-injure myself. I don't want to be re-wounded. And so I'm careful about a closed-mouth friend, a person who understands, like somebody that understands this is life or death. I might be talking to you about what I did with little Jimmy. I might be talking to you about what Uncle Jess did to me, but really what I'm talking about is the life that I am desperately hoping for that's ahead of me. So for anybody that's receiving a fifth step, it is a sacred, sacred thing. It's an honor. Do I want to do that? Let's say it together. No. Sacred. Before I move on, there are two things I want to say. I move to 5. There are two things I want to say. See, that's why I looked at my paper. Okay. So remember, for anybody that was here, when I talked about my first step problem, I talked about it being my body, my mind, my spirit, right? And when I get to the 4-step resentment inventory, when I get to the 4-step inventory, again, I'm dealing with my body, my mind, and my spirit, right? The resentment really is like my body, like the things that have happened to me, the interactions I've had with other people. It's me sort of on a physical plane in relationship to other people. But my fear is the spirit. That's where my fear lives, right? That's how I talked about it in the spiritual malady. The fear is seated in my spirit. But then my mind, well, you know what? I did that wrong. I'm sorry. Y'all forgive me. I'm sorry. If you were old, you couldn't see either. Okay. Can we do a race? So glad it's not recorded. Okay. Another tragedy in my life. I feel victimized. Okay. Okay. So resentment's with my mind, right? Because it's how I think. right? There's this great story this guy tells about how he's leaving his building and there's been this construction thing happening. And the front of the building, he goes out the front to get to the bus, has been, construction taped off. You got to go all the way around the back and blah, blah, blah. And then he comes down the stairs one day and the construction tape is gone. He's super excited. He's going to go out the front. And just as he's going out, there's a construction guy and a guy in a backhoe. And as he opens the door to go out, the guy yells out, "Asshole," right? And he's like, oh my God. So he closes the door and goes around the back and goes to work. And all he could do was think about this. The whole day he's thinking about it. He leaves work early. He gets back to the place early because he's going to pull a guy. He's in AA. He's going to pull him aside nicely and talk to him. Sir, had you considered how that made me feel? He gets there. He has it all prepared. He pulls the guy aside and he tells the guy, and the guy was like, oh my God, I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to the guy in the backhoe, right? That's my life. That sometimes I'm resentful and it was never about me. I think that you didn't speak to me. I think it's in my mind. I'm crazy. I'm talking about it's crazy, okay? So then the fear is in my spirit, but then the sex stuff is obviously my body, right? So that there's a correlation back to my first step. My problem and my solution are aligned. So I want to say this about my sex inventory and then I'm going to move on. I heard this in a meeting, really profound. I wrote it in my book. That really what I'm looking for is connection. But what I settle for is contact. I got to Alcoholics Anonymous and I went to this meeting in San Francisco, got sober in Oakland, and this guy came in and he looked a hot, juicy mess, right? And I was like, whew. And he opened his mouth and he said, I was always selling my butt for a cup of coffee when it was really worth a cheeseburger. And I thought, what? And the more I thought about it, the more I understood what he was saying. I'm always selling myself short. I'm always trading my body. I'm always trading my time. I'm always trading myself when I'm really always worth more. All right, so 5. Devastated about the recording thing, okay? So, it tells me that a self-appraisal is insufficient. Why is a self-appraisal insufficient? Because I can't see myself. I've spent my whole life painting this picture of who I am in my head that's not true. And I don't even necessarily intend to lie. But I have this whole image of myself in the world. I'm always the good guy. I'm always John Wayne when it turns out I'm the damn Indian. Oh, right? Yeah. And so what do I need? I need somebody else to help me see myself. Somebody that I can trust. So for the people that are accepting fifths, here's some things that I have found to be helpful. I don't know if they'll be helpful to you, but I have found them to be helpful. I cannot listen to anybody for 8 hours. I don't have that in me. So I do 3, maybe a 4-hour block. And what do? Now, I might get up, I might be washing the dishes, I might be doing anything, but trust and believe I am listening to you. And I always have a pad and a pen, and I'm taking notes. The 2 things that I'm listening for is what is the pattern and what are the inconsistencies. I'm going to talk briefly about those. If everywhere you go, I was in a relationship and it didn't work out and I sold my house and I moved from New Jersey to Alabama and, I because my partner whoop-de-wah, right? Now you're in Alabama. My family's not showing up the way I want, whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop-de-wah. This is the pattern. Everywhere you go, nobody's loving you right. Is it them or is it you? Because when I can see that it's me, man, that's freedom. So what is the pattern? Listen for the pattern. And honestly, when you're writing, look for the pattern. Inconsistencies. I am willing to die on the cross because you didn't pay me my money back. Now, there are 8 other people in my inventory that didn't pay me back. I'm not talking about them. But I am livid that you didn't pay me back. The question then is it really about the money? Because you're being inconsistent here. So what is it really about? And those are the 2 things I listen for. I listen for what is the pattern of behavior. Do you have a way that you're seeing the world that's blocking you from the sunlight, that's actually keeping you from a relationship with the Creator, that's keeping you from having a new attitude? And do you apply how you want to be treated in the world the same across everybody? Or do you have some deeper thing with someone that won't let you let go of the thing they did when 5 other people did the same thing and you don't seem to care? Because the person that's telling you can't see themselves. And your job is to help them see the pattern of pain that they create in their own life. Final things I'm going to say about this. 3 final things. The book says that we pocket our pride. So if you are worried about what the person thinks about you, you have not pocketed your pride. Are you willing to go to any length? Are you willing to lay yourself bare to get the promises that are available through this step? Now, to be fair, this step gives me relief. This step doesn't give me freedom. But if you're in the kind of pain I was in when I got here, relief is lovely, right? Pocket our pride. I am not telling you this story so that you can think a certain way about me. I'm not trying to impress you, either with how great I am and what a victim I am or what damage I've done. Like I'm setting aside my ego as best I can. The final thing that I want to talk about is I'm not sure that we talk enough about the final instruction in 5. And the final instruction in 5 is to sit quietly for 1 hour. We're not napping. We're not making the grocery list. We're sitting quietly and we're assessing whether or not we have been thorough. Because what it's telling us is do not go forward if you have not been thorough. That this is a foundation building experience for the life that you long for. Have you made more to without saying? Have you been thorough? Did you tell everything? You know, we're supposed to ask the person, which isn't in the book. It's not in the book. But we're supposed to ask the person, is there anything else? Sometimes people start in the 5th step with, let's start with the secret. Let's start with the thing you're never going to tell me. Let's start with that, right? Let's just get that out the way. Right? But what I'm not going to do in that quiet hour is know fully well that I've kept something and not pick up the phone and call. The person receiving your 4th step, and this is really important. I promise you your life is not that interesting. I do, because I'm really only interested in me. I'm just doing the 5th step with you because that's my obligation. I don't think you're that interesting. That's the truth, I think, for all of us. I'm not like, ooh, I can't wait to do a 5th step. I want to know all your bit. I don't care. I mean, I love you, but I'm doing it because it's my spiritual obligation. And so this process of sitting quietly is really important. That sometimes the power is not in action, but in thought. Have I been honest? Have I been thorough? Have I put everything out? Have I laid it all on the table? Am I ready to go on? So, That's what I got. Thank you.